this close.
This close.
Tutti like modest.
We are this close.
This close to making history.
This close.
We're this close, this close. We are this close.
We are this close.
This close.
This close to changing the world.
We are this close to making sure no child suffers a crippling disease ever again.
We are this close to making history.
We are this close to ending polio.
We're this close to ending polio. We're this close.
This close.
This close to ending polio.
This close.
We are this close to ending polio. All we need is you.
All we need is you.
All we need is you. Is you.
All we need is you.
This close. If we don't act now, we may lose this chance forever. Help Rotary make history at endpolio.org.
This is a story of historic progress, a story that doesn't exist without you. Our unifying effort in 3 decades of action demonstrates our commitment and endurance. And our progress thus far shows that a polio-free world is achievable. Individuals, clubs, partners, and governments share a collective vision to improve the health of every single child. We've eliminated polio in some of the most difficult places, overcoming obstacles and navigating complex issues. Our successes prove that polio will be eradicated, and while ending a global disease is not easy, as Rotary, we don't give up. We'll continue our fight until each child is protected. This isn't possible without you. So stay involved, keep pushing forward, engage your clubs and communities. Start a social media conversation and increase visibility on the importance of this global effort. Hold events and fundraisers on World Polio Day and throughout the year. Advocate to governments about the importance of supporting polio eradication. Make a contribution and invest in one of the largest health initiatives ever. Be a character in our story. Be the solution to our challenge. It's because of each and every one of you that we will improve our future by making polio a disease of the past. Eradication is possible, so let's keep our promise.
Hi, I'm Andrew, and I'm a member of Rotary, and we're here to figure out if people actually know what Rotary is. Tell me, what is Rotary?
A rotary phone?
No.
Chicken.
It's not a rotary phone or a rotisserie chicken. Tell me, what is Rotary?
Is it when you get a document stamp?
You've been rotarized.
Let me ask you this. What do you think of when you hear Rotary?
Well, I'll tell you what I think. You go and you all over, and then your toilet gets clogged, so then you have to call the rooter guy.
Do you know what Rotary is?
Is it like a club?
Yes, it's like a club. Do you know what kind of club?
I picture a bunch of old stuffy men sitting around smoking cigars, drinking scotch.
They're better for you.
Now let's ask some actual Rotarians what Rotary truly is.
When I first moved to the area, I didn't know a lot of people, and I didn't have many friends. But then, when I joined Rotary, I gained friends, a community, and even a family.
To me, Rotary is about being part of our community. Rotary has contributed over $500,000 to places like our local zoo.
It's things like this playground. There was nothing here before. And now, it's something everyone can enjoy.
My favorite part of Rotary is learning something new every week, straight from the top leaders in our community. I go to Rotary feeling stressed out from work and leave feeling energized and empowered.
Rotary is about impact on a local, national, and global scale. Like this ballpark for children with special needs. and helping new Americans learn English in this classroom. Oh yeah, and did I mention that Rotary is working around the world on thousands of projects, such as eradicating polio and providing clean drinking water for millions of people. Rotary is where friends, neighbors, and problem solvers share ideas, join leaders, and take action to create lasting change.
Possibilities are all around us. Everywhere we look, we see opportunity. We see potential in unexpected places. And when we share our knowledge, vision, and connections, we turn great ideas into action. In communities all around the world that we call home, like transforming an old bus to feed hungry children, or providing life-saving equipment to those who need it most. From fighting disease to rebuilding schools, together we can make real change happen. We are Rotary. We are people of action.
Meet David. David has been thinking about joining his local Rotary Club, but he's got some reservations. David's got questions like, is Rotary membership right for me? Or do I even have time to be a Rotarian? Let's explore the top 5 Rotary membership myths exposed. Myth number 1, Rotary is only for business networking. While Rotary was in fact founded as a professional group, its purpose has always been centered on service to the community and in fact the world. Both the personal and professional contacts that you will undoubtedly make are just a wonderful side benefit of joining Rotary. Myth number 2, Rotary is just an old boys club. There was a day when Rotary was comprised of just local businessmen, but that was long ago. Here's the bottom line. We're simply looking for high-character men and women in our community that want to serve. Myth number 3, Rotary is expensive. Actually, Rotary membership fees vary from club to club, community to community. Some are as little as mere dollars per month. Myth number 4, if I can't make the meetings, I can't be in Rotary. Rotary is about serving. If you want to help us serve the community, but just can't get to regular meetings, your local club will absolutely find a way for you to participate. Myth number 5, I just don't have time to be a Rotarian. Did you or does your business have 2 hours per month to contribute to the community? We can show you some reasonable goals and examples of how to get yourself involved in Rotary inside of your busy schedule. So you see, David did have some concerns about joining Rotary until he heard the whole story. Don't let these myths stand in your way. Start your Rotary journey of service right now. Because the world needs Rotary, and Rotary needs you.
Why Rotary? Well, let's start with why it was founded. In 1905, a Chicago attorney named Paul P. Harris formed one of the world's first service organizations, the Rotary Club of Chicago. It was a place where professionals with diverse backgrounds could exchange ideas, form meaningful friendships, and serve their community. The name Rotary came from the group's early practice of rotating the meeting location among the offices of each member. And for over a century, the community has expanded all over the globe, and the exchange of ideas, friendships, and service has grown right along with it. Rotary has always been a magnet for leadership, not only in its members, but also in those who regularly present at Rotary meetings. Few places allow you to rub elbows with so many leaders, and at the same time, lend a hand to so many in need. You know, our fight to end polio is this close to succeeding. With over 1.2 million members in over 34,000 clubs worldwide, the networking and service opportunities are almost endless. And in every one of those clubs, the members are dedicated to service above self and maintaining the 6 areas of focus: promoting peace, fighting disease, providing clean water, saving mothers and children, supporting education, and growing local economies. Those focus areas and everything we do can always be put through our 4-way test. Number 1, is it the truth? Number 2, is it fair to all concerned? Number 3, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And number 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Are you a busy business or community leader whose heart is set to serve above self? Then we were made for each other. The meetings have stopped rotating, but our passion to network, share, and serve has not. Why don't you look us up? We'd love to invite you to our next meeting. Rotary. Join leaders, exchange ideas, take action.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and guests, and welcome to District 6960 presents Infinite Possibilities, Women in Rotary. Our series is co-sponsored by Rotary Zones 33 and 34. I am Darrell Keyes, District Governor of District 6960, representing all of Southwest Florida. And our Rotary International theme for the year is Rotary Opens Opportunities, which in my opinion is perfect. As many of you are aware, Rotary was founded in 1905, but it wasn't until 1989, some 84 years later, that the Council on Legislation voted to admit women into Rotary clubs. That still amazes me when I think about it. Today, worldwide, we stand at approximately 286,400 women members in Rotary International. Only 25% of our total Rotary membership is comprised of women. I don't know about you, but to me, that's a very small number worldwide. And there's only been a 5% increase since 2015-16, or in other words, a total of 57,400 women in the past 5 years have joined. Let's think about that in terms of clubs. With around 35,000 clubs around the world, that's approximately an increase of 1.64 women per club over the last 5 years. Surely we can do better than that. District 6960 is putting a really big spotlight on the challenge of bringing more women into Rotary. And this series is all about listening and learning and then taking action. This is where each of you come into play. So thanks again for being with us today and throughout our series. Now, every district governor wants to make a difference and put a stake in the ground, if you will, to help make Rotary better. And initiating this series is the way that I put my stake in the ground. I have to take a moment and share that when I thought about Rotary and who could lead this agenda forward and take it forward, I had only one Rotarian in mind, past District Governor Cindy Dora. For those of you who know Cindy, you know I made the right choice. As a female Rotarian, Cindy moves agendas. She throws a wide net to include people who are willing to climb on board and hold on to their hat. And more importantly, she gets things done. Thank you, Cindy, for all you've done to make this series possible and for all you do for Rotary. We also are extremely grateful and honoured to have our very own Rotary International Director, Stephanie Urchik, with us today. to kick off our series. Stephanie has been supportive of this project from the initial conception, and we're thrilled she's part of our program. Stephanie is a member of the Rotary Club of McMurray, Pennsylvania. She has served as a Rotary Foundation trustee, chaired the Rotary Foundation Centennial Celebration Committee, and the Rotary Strategic Planning Committee. In addition, she's been an international training leader, member of the Atlanta Rotary International Convention Committee, regional foundation coordinator, and this year she's serving as the chair of the Rotary International Executive Committee. Professionally, Stephanie is a partner and chief operating officer of Doctors at Work LLC, a consulting and training company. She has an impressive track record in Rotary, and wow, what a resume. Please join me in welcoming Rotary International Director, Stephanie Urchik.
Thank you, Governor Darrell, and thank you for recognizing the challenge of attracting, retaining, and recognizing women in Rotary leadership. Rotary does open opportunities. It's my privilege to participate in this Infinite Possibilities series. This series is going to run for 4 months, July through October 2020, and it's going to feature women who have demonstrated leadership and broken some glass ceilings. It's about women who have joined Rotary and claimed a place as leaders, women who have endeavored to persevere, who have challenged the status quo, and have fought the good fight for inclusion in Rotary. Women who paved the way to open doors for each of us to step up to and then through those doors, offering challenging, influential roles and spearheading new initiatives, ultimately leading the way forward to support and enhance Rotary in the 21st century. We join Rotary because we recognize and support the amazing value proposition Rotary brings to the world. It doesn't matter that we are women. We are Rotarians and have much to contribute to making the world a better place. Women represent almost half of the world's population. Yet only 25% of Rotary membership is female. And we want to grow Rotary's membership overall. So this series brings Rotary leaders together to support our initiative. Rotarians who believe inviting more women to join Rotary can only strengthen our organization. The year I joined 530 of my fellow DGEs at Assembly, International Assembly training, there were only 20 female DGEs in that group. And I'll tell you, we got a huge chuckle when we realized that each of us had received ahead of time a letter asking us to remind our spouse to bring a cocktail dress. Oh my goodness, we've come a long way since then, but we still have so much more to go. I recently served as chair of the Rotary Strategic Planning Committee, and this series, Infinite Possibilities, has a direct relationship to one of our 4 priorities, that one being expand our reach, because that's the priority that helps us focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. You know, I often say to clubs, look around at your community, and if your club mirrors the community, you have a handle on your future. If it doesn't, you have a great opportunity. Now it's my privilege to introduce our co-host for today. And first, let me introduce Rotary Vice President Jarita Solari, and then I'll introduce Rotary International Director Valerie Wafer. So Jarita is a Rotarian and has been since 1993. She's a member of the Rotary Club of Anaheim, California. As district governor, she held the first district $53.20 million dinner. And under her leadership, her district became the second district in the world to become a 100% Paul Harris Club district. Jarita has served in numerous positions in Rotary, including chair of the 2013 Southern California Nevada Pets, training leader at 2 international assemblies, and chair of the Rotary Institute for Zones 25 and 26. Currently a member of Rotary's Peace Major Gifts Initiative Committee, Jarita and her husband Bruce are champions for our Rotary Foundation, and they are members of the Arch Clump Society, the Paul Harris Society, and are major donors. Professionally, she is co-founder and chief visionary officer of Solari Enterprises, a family-owned and run business, and that is a full-service property management company that specializes in the management of more than $1 billion of affordable multi-family housing. So welcome, Rotary International Vice President Jarita. Likewise, I'm honored to introduce today's co-host, Rotary International Director Valerie Wafer. Valerie will be wrapping up today's session with a challenge and call to action. But first, let's learn a little more about her. Valerie joined Rotary in 2005 and served as DG of Rotary District 7070, covering the Greater Toronto, Canada area. Her home club now is the Rotary Club of Collingwood South Georgian Bay in District 7010. Valerie has served in a variety of roles, including as an international trainer, host organizing committee member for the Toronto Convention in 2018, and as an RI President's Rep. During Valerie's tenure as a Rotarian, she's participated in and led many initiatives, including a recent mission to Kosovo with the Gift of Life International. She's also served as a vocational training team leader to Australia in 2010, focusing on youth mental health. She's been on National Immunization Days in India in 2012 and has traveled to Kenya and Tanzania to audit long-term Rotary Foundation grant activity. Valerie and her husband Mark are Paul Harris Fellows, Bequest Society members, and major donors to our Rotary Foundation. Professionally, Valerie was a restaurant owner in Toronto. If you haven't heard of Tim Hortons, you obviously have never been to Canada. The Wafers operation was best known for its inclusive hiring practices and accessibility. Please welcome Rotary International Director Valerie, and we look forward to your comments after Sylvia's presentation. So now I'm going to turn it back to Jarita.
Thank you, Stephanie. And let me add my welcome and appreciation to the more than 1,200 Rotarians and guests who've registered for this event. And this is an incredible response. And Governor Darrell, I'd like to add my special thanks for launching this series and commend you for your vision. Many years ago, 6 months into a new business my husband Bruce and I had started, Bruce received a letter addressed to the president of the company, inviting the president to check out the local Rotary Club. With a wink, Bruce handed the letter to me, so I decided to check it out. I arrived, and the gentleman checking me in stood, shook my hand, and proceeded to usher me into a room full of men, where he introduced me to everyone. These were seasoned businessmen, but they had their heads connected to their hearts, and they didn't care if I was a woman or what my title was. They cared that I wanted to make a difference, and I enjoyed being a member of this club. The rest is not quite history, as unfortunately, the club eventually closed and I didn't rejoin Rotary until my husband invited me on a lunch date to visit his Rotary club. I sat next to a 50-year perfect attendance Rotarian, LBJ. And LBJ talked to me and said, you know, Jarita, you need to rejoin Rotary. Well, he called me every week for weeks on end, inviting me to attend and telling me that I was needed. Well, I finally relented and went back to the meeting to personally tell him I couldn't join. But fortunately, LBJ was more persuasive, and the rest of the story, well, here I am today, standing here as a vice president of Rotary International. So this afternoon, I have the sincere pleasure to introduce you to Dr. Sylvia Whitlock, who has quite a story to share on how she became the first president of any Rotary Club worldwide. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the good men of the Rotary Club of Duarte and their ultimate willingness to stand with women they inducted into their club in the face of the ultimatum from Rotary International. Sylvia served in every club position and a number of district positions before becoming the district governor of District 5300. A prolific speaker, she has spoken to more than 100 Rotary events internationally, including the 2013 International Assembly, where district governors-elect from around the world are trained. Sylvia has participated in National Polio Immunization Days, established an AIDS clinic in Jamaica, and supported an orphanage in Mexico, sank wells in Nigeria, and raised almost $90,000 for education for girls in India. Professionally, she's earned an international baccalaureate from Cambridge University in England. Her undergrad came from Hunter College, graduate work at Cal Poly Pomona and Azusa Pacific University, and holds a PhD in education from Claremont Graduate School. Sylvia is a licensed marriage and family therapist and licensed supervisor in this field. You know, she's also received just a few significant accolades. She is a recipient of the first Sylvia Whitlock Award, established in her honor and presented at the 2017 Rotary International Convention. She's been honored as the NAACP Woman of the Year and has received the Global Citizen Award from the United Nations Association in 2013. But if you've ever heard her speak, she will talk about the most satisfying and enjoyable job she's ever had, which was raising her children and now enjoying her grandchildren. And you know, if that's not enough, she likes tennis, the Stanford Cardinals football team, the Seahawks, the Golden State Warriors, and the LA Angels. Isaac Newton said, "If I've seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants." Sylvia, we stand on your shoulders with gratitude for paving the way for women. Fellow Rotarians and guests, we now present Dr. Sylvia Whitlock.
Thank you, Jarita. That was more than enough. So I'm going to talk with you a little bit today about my experience with Rotary and why I'm happy that as a woman, I am part of this amazing vehicle for service to mankind. So when I was asked to join Rotary by the superintendent of schools, Richard Key, in Duarte, California, it was in response to my query about how I, as a new school principal, could serve the community whose children I was charged with educating. I was well aware that a community whose parents are in need of food, clothing, shelter, and all the basics does not have the energy or will to focus on educating its youngsters. So in order to grab the attention of those parents, you have to meet their essential needs. Dr. Key was way ahead of me. He said, don't worry, you're going to join Rotary and together we'll take care of that. Well, I had never heard of this service club called Rotary. You saw the little blip before with many people who had never heard of that service club. I knew about Kiwanis. They have a distinctive name. Do you know what Kiwanis means? Well, it means waiting to get into Rotary. Well, just a little humor to lighten our day. But that was actually told to me by a Kiwanian. But I also knew about Elks. Everyone does. They wear those interesting hats. And I lived in New York City, where you could always find Elks on 42nd Street. I also knew about Lions because I was a school person, and they provide eyeglasses for children in school. But I literally had never heard of Rotary. That deficiency was immediately addressed when I was invited to join the ex-Rotary Club of Dwardy. Here's our pin. We'll show you our pin. That's the pin of the ex-Rotary Club of Dwardy, and I'll tell you how it got there. The Rotary Club of Dwardy was chartered in 1952 to address the needs of this community in the foothills of the San Gabriel Mountains. Oh, about 20 miles east of Pasadena, where the Rose Parade used to come from. The men served the community well, but they needed members to join the club. And remember, because this was a membership issue. Back in the 50s, Rotarians were executive types who had leadership positions in their jobs and career choices. Dr. Key saw all these women principals, psychologists, journalists, administrators, and so on, and he thought of all the classifications he could fill if he invited some of the women leaders in his district. And at the City of Hope Hospital, which was the other big office and big business in that district. Somewhat concerned by the fact that he had not met any women Rotarians, he went to the district governor and asked what he would think if Dick invited some women to join. The governor suggested it might be a good idea, but flying in the face of the four-way test, he immediately suggested that when Dick registered the women, he use only their first name initials, and not their full first name. Well, disregarding the four-way test, Dick went ahead and did that. However, they just moved barely ahead of a brewing storm. 2 years later, they had their 25th anniversary celebration, and a representative from Evanston attended the celebration, as they do for clubs that are observing milestones. At the celebration, the Dwardy women were introduced as Rotarians, and the consternation was palpable. They said, we don't have women in Rotary. And somebody said, oh, this club does. Well, when the representatives returned to Evanston and informed International about the presence of the women, they immediately sent to Dwardy a note which said 3 things. There are no women in Rotary clubs. Number 2, the women need to be asked to leave. Number 3, if they do not leave, you may not call yourself a Rotary club. So they asked to appeal to the board of directors. And they were told only real Rotary clubs can appeal to the board of directors. And if the women are there, you're not a real Rotary club. So that was done, and they asked if they could appeal to the Council on Legislation, which was meeting that year in Tokyo. Well, the interesting thing was that when the issue, I'm going to shorten this because the time is limited. The interesting thing is that when the issue was presented to the Council on Legislation, it was not whether women should be members of Rotary, but it was whether the Dwardy Club had violated Rotary's bylaws by inviting women. And of course they had. And the vote was something like 1,000 to 37. Well, there were actually 37 people who thought there should have been women in Rotary. And I met one of them when we had our convention in Calgary. I was on my way to the convention and sitting in the train across from a couple. And we were all wearing our Rotary tags. And the gentleman said to me, are you from the club that invited women to Rotary? And I said, well, yeah, we have women in Rotary now. And he said, I was at the convention in Tokyo, and I always thought they should be there. And his wife said, sweet wife sitting next to him said, I didn't think so then, and I don't think so now. Well, couldn't understand, but a lot of the women were concerned because what she said was, we're sending our men out to meetings at night with women, and we don't know what's going on. And I said, you know, it's not a social club, it's a service club. However, that was a problem at the time. And I often think that in the many years it took Rotary and Georgia to work through this, what was happening to people who had children growing up in a world where they could see that women were disregarded. Okay. Well, it didn't take long for Rotary to send someone to Dwardy and tell us that we had to give up our charter. We could no longer be a chartered club. And so they came to a meeting, coffee shop, and took the charter. And we sat around and looked at each other, and Bill Brooks said, you know what? That's okay. We'll just call ourselves the ex-Rotary Club of Dwardy. And I showed you the pin. The ex-Rotary pin that we used for 11 years while we were the ex-Rotary Club of Dwardy. And an attorney from a neighboring club, Sanford Smith, decided he would take the case, we could take the case to court. And of course, because we were thinking that this was a membership issue, we thought, who's going to say no? Well, we gave Rotary notice that we would take the case to court, to California court, and they petitioned that the case be heard in federal court because they said not all members of the board of directors are Californians. But the reason for that was because there had been a case in New York considering rights of membership, rights of association, and it was heard in federal court, and the New York club won, and Rotary wanted to use that precedent in their case. But the court ruled that it be heard in California. And so it was first heard in a California court. And it didn't take long before they said Rotary had a right to expel the club. Well, we were disappointed, but we knew that this was not going to be the end of it, and we would appeal the case and we'd have to do some work. And so with the help of the ACLU, which saw this as a civil rights issue, and the Seattle Five, another group that was trying to get women in Rotary, we worked on the case. And Sanford found out that in California, as in a lot of states, there are laws that prohibit discrimination in public accommodation, and Rotary was considered to be public accommodation. At that time, about 80% of its members had their dues paid by their employers. And the classification system really clinched all of that. Well, we appealed to the California Appellate Court. And the California Appellate Court, on the basis of the Unruh Act, reversed the decision of the Superior Court. And so we were told that Californians could be Rotarians. But remember, this was a California court, so this was only incumbent on California. But this was the year that I was coming in as president. And so a lot of things started to happen. As I returned to Dwardy, I was invited to PETS, which is where all incoming presidents go. And at PETS, that's where we were told 290 men, one woman, Okay, I won't tell you all the other jokes about that. But we were told that Rotary International was going to appeal this case to the United States Supreme Court. And I'm a school person, and I know a little bit about the Supreme Court, and I thought the Supreme Court handles things like Roe versus Wade, or Board of Education in Topeka, Kansas, and women in the service club. See, but I was really discounting the fact that this was a civil rights issue. So our district governor said, you know, it's just a case of a little club making a big noise, kind of the mouse that roared. So we made a mouse pin. You see the mouse? We made a mouse pin, and he has a Rotary icon on his back because we're the mouse that roared. And I went back to Dorothy, and we made a new banner, the mouse that roared, ex-Rotary Club of Dorothy. And of course, I was wrong. The Supreme Court did take the issue, and it took only 4 months for them to decide that Rotary Club had, and not just Rotary, but all other service clubs had to admit women. And I want to read to you, someone mentioned the fact, I think Jarita mentioned the fact that when they were invited to zone meeting, they were told to make sure you bring a gowns that you wear at night, and that was for her husband. He was the partner. When I was invited to pets, I was told, make sure you bring your coat and tie because we're going to take directory pictures. Well, you know, we've changed a little bit now. Well, in 4 months after the Supreme Court took the case, they decided that the ruling did not violate First Amendment right of association. And on May the 4th, they found that considering the size, purpose, selectivity, and exclusivity of Rotary's membership, the relationship among club's members was not of the intimate or private variety, which warrants First Amendment protection. And so, writing for the unanimous court, Sandra Day O'Connor didn't vote because her husband was a Rotarian. Justice Powell argued that many of Rotary's activities, including their meetings, are conducted in the presence of strangers. And because women members would not prevent the club from carrying out its purposes, there was no violation of associational rights. Furthermore, he said, and this is the sentence on which the whole decision was hanging. Furthermore, he said, even if there were a slight encroachment on the rights of Rotarians to associate, that minimal infringement would be justified since it serves the state's compelling interest in ending sexual discrimination. And there it was, and now the decision was incumbent on all USA clubs. And that was the story. What do women bring to Rotary? Women bring a sense of detail, a sense of caring, a completeness, men and women, to Rotary. And for young women who are joining Rotary, make sure you involve them. When you invite a young woman to join Rotary, and you should, because young women have a way of doing things, young people, young men and women, that's different from the way we have done things for years and years. Hear their suggestions, listen to their suggestions, use their expertise. They're fantastic at communicating, they're amazing. They have so much to bring to all the members who have been in the club for such a long time, and those members have so much to take to them. So make sure you pair them. They can mentor each other. They have so much to learn from each other. And our classification system allows us to address the community, all the different facets of the community. Meet in different places. Take your club to different places to meet. Go to some of the workplaces of some of the people who are members and bring them in and make them a part of your club. Cliff Docterman said, and I wanted to mention this, that Rotary was at a crossroads when Rotary asked, can we admit someone of another race and ethnic group? China, Japan, Africa? Well, Rotary moved forward in those historic movements. Important to remember, we're each born with two unchangeable characteristics, and one of them is up for grabs. But one is our ethnicity or our race, and the other one is our gender. What can we do when ethnicities together and gender represent diversity? How do we accommodate it meaningfully? We have to do something. Operative word is do. We have to do something that results in equity and exclusion. The diversity is the situation. Our action is what we do. I'll be happy to take any questions that you may have.
So, Dr. Whitlock, you might suspect that you have a lot of fans on our webinar today, and you'd be absolutely correct. So one of the questions we have is, what year was the United States Supreme Court decision?
1987. 1987, the 4th of May, 1987. And two years later, the Council of Legislation took action to change it. It was 1989. But the Supreme Court was the 4th of May, 1987.
Very good. And if you were Rotary Queen for today, what changes would you make?
Oh my God, what a question that is. If I were Rotary Queen for today, you know what I would do today? I would call an emergency session of the Council on Legislation. I would adopt the pandemic mode, the mode we're in now, as our new business operation procedure. I would take advantage of the fact that we're not spending money on meals, we're not spending money on travel, and I would set up a financial structure that would channel that money into places where it's needed, like the Rotary Foundation and places like that. And I would do that right away, because if you don't, it's going to go away. People don't spend the money, they don't save it, they don't put it somewhere. So find a place to put it right now. That's what I would do immediately.
Very good. So let me ask another question. What can Rotary do to continue building a more diverse, representative organization?
Well, you know, so when I addressed the district governors at the assembly, the title was diversity. But the diversity then was men and women. You know, that was the thing. Well, there was so much more diversity than men and women, and I think what we need to do, Rotary has made some statements, if we reflect our community, in all the areas that are important, in the gender, in race and ethnicity, in occupations and the transportation system that helps us, I think we need to keep track of it. I think each Rotary club, each Rotary district needs to keep track of their community characteristics and try to make sure that their Rotary clubs represent those characteristics. I think we need to be proactive in doing that and not just talk about it.
Okay, and we have a couple of people who have asked if you could address your thoughts to clubs which are still not admitting women today.
Are there clubs? I know there was one in New Jersey, but I thought that was the only one in the world that wasn't admitting women. I've heard a lot of people talk about clubs that were reluctant in the beginning to admit women, but then later on did admit women. And I think, you know, there isn't anything that cannot be helped if we put the thoughts of different people together. And I think for clubs that are not admitting women, what is your reason? What are you saying to your girl children? What are you saying to your boy children about this world if you cannot work together as men and women for the betterment of your community, for the betterment of mankind? What are you saying to them if you do that? Think about it.
Dr. Whitlock, another question we've gotten is, what do you think Rotary may be able to do with regard to human trafficking?
In regard to what?
Human trafficking.
Some trafficking?
I'm sorry, what do you think Rotary may be able to do to help with the situation regarding human trafficking in the world today?
Well, you know, The book, Half the Sky, that was written by Nicholas Kristof, was the book that addressed victimization in human trafficking. And what he did say, he thought one of the best remedies for that was education. And I think that's one of the things that I think about. I work with the school in India. When we raised all that money to build the school in India, it was so that we could educate girls, educate parents, educate men, and work to combat trafficking. Education is the biggest answer to most of the ills that we have confronting mankind today.
Okay, I know you have served in a number of capacities in Rotary leadership. Do you have any advice for those who would like to make their own clubs more diverse?
Look around. We have a classification system, which is the greatest thing. And look around your club. And I think I said that before. If you look at your community and see if your club is a reflection of your community, that's what you need to do. You know, there is nothing, I think, even more than being hurt by someone who doesn't like the diversity that you represent, is being ignored by someone who doesn't like the diversity you represent. And if I had time, I have a great story that I would tell you, but I don't have time to tell it. But I think that is what needs to be done, is to make sure you're not ignoring the people who could be change agents, who could be movers and shakers in your community, and use your classification system. It's a great system. You go through it and see if you have all those classifications filled. And then look at all the other aspects of your characteristics and see what you do.
All right, Dr. Whitlock. So you teased us, and we do have 5 or 6 minutes. You want to tell your story?
Okay, I was driving. You have to remember this. I'm a black woman now. Most people know, most people sometimes aren't sure. I was driving in New York City on the Cross Bronx Expressway. On a dare, I was almost out of gas, and I thought, I said to my friend, I have enough gas to get home. I get home. And halfway on the Cross Bronx Expressway, the car just sputtered. I was out of gas, and I pulled over on the side. And actually, I was in the center because I was in the fast lane, so I pulled over to that shoulder and pulled up to a police phone that I saw. And I said, call the police, and I said, I'm out of gas. I'm on the freeway. And the person on the other end said, well, what do you want us to do? If you're still there in an hour, call me back. And I thought, oh, no, what do I do? So I'm standing there looking stupid, which I was, run out of gas. And on the other side of the freeway, because I'm in the center lane, this car pulled up. And out of the car came this man, black man with a handkerchief tied around his head. On the street. And he came over to the car and he said, what's the matter, baby? And I thought, oh, here it comes. And I said, I'm out of gas. He said, oh, don't worry, I'll take care of it. And he got off the freeway, got a tank of gas, came back, pulled up behind me, put some gas in the gas, and then poured some on the carburetor and started the car. And I said, how much do I owe you? I have $3. Can I give you $3? Remember, gas was 25 cents a gallon. And he said, no, you don't owe me anything. And he got in the car and went on his way. He waited till I started my car, and I went on. And I went home. I was only about 5 minutes from home. But when I went into my house, I sat there for a minute and I took a deep breath and I thought, what? Why did I react to the man the way I did? He was the only person who stopped to help. But what was it in my head that said that man is not in your group of acceptables? What was it that made him unacceptable to me? And that was the beginning of my stopping to think of what I had learned. You know, Rogers and Hammerstein in their song said, you've got to be carefully taught. You've got to be taught to hate and fear. And without being told in so many words, by the actions that you see around you, you learn some things. But inside your heart, you have to stop and think about, how is it that I am reacting to the people around? What should I be doing? And how can I be inclusive? How can I not disregard people? And how can I accept them? That's a story that belongs to me for a long time.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. What advice would you give to your younger self?
To my younger
self. You could go back in time.
What would I give to my younger self? Think before you act. Always think about what you do and always think about what you say. My grandmother said, and I should remember this, never judge by its cover. That's what I would remember. There are a lot of judgments that I passed that were probably not good, not correct, and not helpful. And if I were to go back to my younger self, that's what I'd do.
All right. Well, as you might imagine, the questions keep coming, but I think we're about out of time. So thank you, Dr. Whitlock, for an outstanding presentation. And now to challenge us with several calls to action, we have Rotary International Director, Valerie Wafer.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Sylvia. We highly anticipated your presentation, and as usual, you did not disappoint. You are the perfect Rotarian to kick off this important series for women in Rotary. As mentioned earlier, I ran a business for 25 years. And I kept my head down and I worked hard to advance my career. And even when I finally made it to the boardroom, I didn't really notice that I was the clear minority at the table. But time has passed, and today I look around, not much has changed. I have 2 young daughters, and I've really started to take notice of the conversation. Fortune magazine recently ran an article entitled, "The number of female CEOs in the Fortune 500 hits an all-time record." Do you know what the record was? Is 37, or just a little over 7%. Wow. Don't misunderstand me. 37% is better than the year before, which was 33. But I know a lot of smart, thoughtful, hardworking women of high integrity who have earned a place at that table. And 7% doesn't seem like nearly enough. We need to work together. We should have the conversation of inclusion, the conversation that is the basis for this series. As an organization, Rotary wants more members, but we need more women. This conversation is more important now than ever. During these challenging times, the world needs more Rotarians. Many in attendance today are Rotarians, so we're especially pleased to welcome so many of our guests. I'd like to take just a moment to share why we are proud to be Rotarians. Rotarians worldwide work tirelessly through our communities to help those in need. For 30 years, Rotary has been working on eradicating polio. Since our first project to now, Rotary, with the help and support from our partners with the Global Polio Eradication Initiative, World Health Organization, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, have reduced polio by 99.9%. We've immunized more than 2.5 billion children around the world and contributed more than $1.88 billion towards the eradication of polio. But the most important thing you need to know about Rotarians, we won't give up until the world is certified polio-free. As difficult as it is, we are also working to make world peace a reality. Annually, we support more than 100 Rotary Peace Fellows to attend Rotary Peace Centers located at 7 prestigious universities around the globe. Peace Fellow graduates work in government, NGOs, education, the military, and international organizations. We have a seat at the UN and work with the World Bank, always with a focus on peacemaking. Rotarians are engaged with clean water, maternal and child health care, education, building local economies, fighting disease, and recently have added supporting and protecting the environment. We engage in big projects and small projects, service that impacts urban areas or rural villages. We partner with Rotary clubs around the world, nonprofits, and governments. Making a difference underscores what we do. But we're more than that. We connect, we mentor, we learn, we empower, and we serve. We are people of action. We have 4 calls to action today, and we're going to pause for a few seconds so that you can write down some of the information. Rotarians, we are launching a Rotary Action Group, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. We ask that you join us. Please contact past District Governor Pete Dora, noting the information on the slide. As part of this series, we're supporting the Rotary Action Group on Family Safety. Please consider making a donation. Contact information can be seen on your screen. If you are a guest who has joined us today, please contact past District Governor Cindy Dora, chairperson of our Infinite Possibilities Initiative. Her contact information can be seen on your screen, or you are more than welcome to reach out to a local Rotary Club to visit and hopefully join. We need more good people who care about their communities and the world. We need you to make a difference. And if you're a Rotarian and you haven't invited a dynamic professional woman in your community to your club, ask them to join you in a service project, a social, or a meeting, and invite them to join our series to learn more. Remember, our motto is service above self. Sylvia, once again, on behalf of our entire Infinite Possibilities team, we thank you for your inspiration, your steadfastness, and your leadership. Now our Infinite Possibilities Chair, past District Governor Cindy Dora, will share information on our next series. Cindy.
Thank you so much, Rotary International Director Valerie. We appreciate your being here. And Dr. Whitlock, I want to tell you, we are inspired, we are excited, and we are so appreciative that you took the time to be with us today. Rotary International Director Stephanie Urchik, Rotary International Vice President Jarita Solari. I mean, when we started this, we really wanted to bring the best of the best. And ladies, you did it, and we thank you so much. But I would be remiss if I did not especially applaud our district governor from District 6960, Daryl Keys, because Daryl had the vision to pull this together. So Daryl, we love you and we appreciate you so much. Lead on to increase membership for Rotary through women's participation. As I stated, District 6960 is so honored to showcase our series along with Zones 33 and 34, Infinite Possibilities, Women in Rotary. Throughout this series, we're going to be hearing thought-provoking stories from dynamic women all over the world. And our intent is to challenge each and every one of you to step up to and step into Rotary's opportunities. After all, we're all in this together. Our next section is scheduled for August the 28th at 1 p.m. and features a wonderful Rotarian by the name of Jennifer Stotts. She's a young, upbeat, high-energy professional woman who describes herself very simply as a mother, a wife, a friend, a social worker, a Rotarian, and a troublemaking millennial. This is a session you won't want to miss, and we're confident when you hear her story, you will be challenged and entertained and inspired in your Rotary walk and service. Be on the lookout for other upcoming registrations for the continuation of our series, and make a note on your calendars to register for our future series. Following August, we're featuring Rotary past Vice President, Rotary International past Vice President, Dean Roars on September the 25th. And then on October 30th, we have an amazing surprise for you, and we're not going to let the cat out of the bag today, but I'll tell you, we have a special guest speaker coming on October the 30th to present. Please also be aware that we're very sensitive to the topic of diversity, equity, inclusion. So then starting in January of 2021, we are going to begin our new series, Infinite Possibilities, Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, running from January through April of the year 2021. Again, on behalf of District 6960 and Zones 33 and 34, We greatly appreciate your being with us today. Today's session has been recorded, and you can see on the screen where you can go to get copies of this. It'll have information. We'll also take the time to answer your questions after the series is ended today. But we look forward to seeing all of you in August. And remember, we are people of action, and Rotary opens opportunities. Thank you so much.